Welcome back everyone. In today's video I'm going to cover off the top 5 most popular joinery systems for modern woodworking. Now all of these systems have their pros and cons in terms of price and in terms of time. They also have their pros and cons in terms of implementation. But today I'm going to talk about primarily joinery systems that you can use in the context of modern woodworking. So with that, let's get to it. Known as number 1, glue. Otherwise known as glue and screw. Using your cordless drill and impact driver, you can glue and screw. Or you can use your brad nailer and you can glue and brad nail things into position. Basically, you're going to use the brad nails as a clamping device. Now, I don't use this technique for a lot of fine woodworking. I tend to use it to do quick projects like jigs, or if I'm putting together something for the shop. One of the first things you learn when you start woodworking is that glue is your best friend. The strongest joints, of course, are either edge to face or face to face. Glue basically welds pieces of wood together. And in many cases, if you try to break the joint apart, the wood fibers will give out before the glue joint does. So Number 2, dowel joinery. In the past, I've extolled the virtues of dowel joinery. In multiple videos, I've talked about how dowel joinery works really well for me. I still use it despite all the other joinery methods I have at my disposal. There are many different techniques on how to use it without having too much of a headache. One of those techniques is using a simple jig like this one. This is a simple T-jig that I designed and used in my shop for years and years. And this works really well with edge to edge and edge to face joinery. Of course, you can do through holes just using your drill and tapping in the dowels straight into the adjoining piece. There are so many different methods of using doweling, and it really just takes a bit of practice to get used to it. It is a great entry-level joinery, but it's also a great advanced joinery down the road as you get more confident with it. Of course, you can buy a fancy dowel machine that allows you to plunge in 2 holes simultaneously, so you can get nice symmetrical joints all through your project. You're going to get basically the same results. This cost me nothing. The fancy dowel joinery machine might cost you something like $300 or $400. Even if you're living in an apartment, you can do this method of joinery using a combination of hand tools and your cordless drill, and you can build some great furniture. A lot of my friends in college used to build their own furniture, including desks and tables, just using dowel joinery and a few pieces of leftover wood that they got at school. Number 3, loose tenon joinery. Now, this covers a really wide range of joinery methods within just loose tenon joinery. From the basic standpoint, what you need to get started is you need a decent router, preferably a plunge router, but you can use a fixed base router as well. And you will need some kind of a jig like this one that I made. And I use this still for custom loose tenon joinery. That's really all you need is a simple jig and a router to get started. You need a straight spiral bit, preferably carbide, and you're ready to go. If you've never done it before, you should definitely try it. It's very satisfying and it cuts the amount of work down in half just about compared to using hand tool methods. You can make your own loose tenons. I've covered this off in other videos. All of that is going to be in the description below. But I would say that this is one of my favorite methods. A router is one of the staple tools that you want in your wood shop. You want that sooner than later. And so there's no reason not to get started with loose tenon joinery. And if you guys want me to cover off more techniques for loose tenon joinery in future videos, please comment in the comment section below and let me know. Number 4, pocket joinery. Now this is a jig that I put together to hold my K4 pocket jig. I have a dust collector attached to it, which works really well. I really love this for quick projects. If I'm putting something together, even if it's an outdoor project, I'll get the right pocket screws and I will get it together in no time using this joinery method. And of course, with the pocket joinery system, you can expand on this and get all kinds of accessories like various Craig clamps that will help facilitate joining things together and is specifically designed for pocket joinery. This is somewhat controversial for hardcore woodworkers because a lot of them will try to avoid the pocket joinery altogether. I will say this, my father was in the furniture business for about 30 years, and I know that pocket joinery was used in factory processes back in the 50s and going forward, and even today it's being used quite often. For example, if you go inside any piece of furniture, or if you go inside, say, an RV or a camper trailer, you'll see that a lot of the pieces and components are joined together using pocket screws. All you really have to know is the right type of screw for the right type of job, whether it's hardwood or softwood. That's all cataloged and cross-referenced easily by companies like Craig. They make that information available online. They also make it available in their packaging, and it makes it super easy to get into joining just about anything, particularly if you're building cabinets or closets or anything in your home. Number 5, joinery machines. There are a lot of different specialty joinery machines on the market, or specialty joinery systems. Technically, the pocket joinery system is one of them, but I didn't include it in this category because I'm really mostly talking about machines, like, for example, the domino joiner. This is definitely one of those tools that are on the higher price point in terms of what you can invest in for your workshop. If you're getting into a semi-professional situation, or you're getting into a situation where you're even selling things at local fairs or markets, you may want a more efficient system for joinery. The domino joiner falls into the loose tenon joinery category as well. The accuracy of this machine is pretty astounding. I've had my DF500 domino joiner for about 9 months now, and I have to say, for production work, it is amazing stuff. I actually am a little bit ticked off at how much time I used to spend doing joinery when this machine actually cuts the time virtually in half. If you're a hobbyist woodworker, this is definitely overkill. You don't need to buy a domino joiner. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not a woodworker without one. There are other joinery machines out there. I mentioned the Dowel joiner machine, which is a specialty joiner machine that allows you to drill 2 holes simultaneously, basically, into a piece of wood and join things together using dowels. There is the beadlock system, which I don't have, but you can research that online. It's several dowels basically glued together to create one loose tenon, and there's special drill bits and jigs for drilling into that, but that's a whole other system. The other joinery machine that's also very popular, and a great one if you want to start a bar fight with several woodworkers, is the biscuit joiner. Anytime you mention biscuit joiners, half the room will throw things at you, the other half will clap. There are other names for this. It's also known as a plate joiner. When I started getting into woodworking, I bought this thinking that this might make things easier for me. I personally don't use it a lot. I used it for a few tabletop alignments, and that's pretty much it. It was originally designed to align things. When you're using this, inevitably you're using glue on an entire joint. So let's take an edge joint, for example. You're going to use the biscuits to align the joint, and then you're going to use the glue, and that is eventually going to be the strength of the joint, is the glue itself, not the biscuits. Now, a lot of people will think this is synonymous with loose tenon joinery. It really isn't. The depth that you can get with this machine versus, say, a domino joiner cannot be compared. Some people do enjoy using the biscuit joiner as part of a larger system. I know some companies out there have made entire systems that allow you to build modular furniture. The same thing has happened with the domino joiner. They've actually come up with a system to make modular furniture. Basically, you're making furniture that is similar to an IKEA sort of joint. If you're at that level where you're ready to invest in a machine, the really good biscuit joiners can be almost as expensive as a decent domino joiner. And so if I had those two choices as a first-time purchaser, I'd definitely go with the domino joiner. Each and every system that I'm talking about today has got its pros and cons in terms of saving time and or saving money. On the low end of the spectrum, you've got dowel joinery and you've got glue and screw method. Those are the most basic and affordable methods. Regardless of how you evolve with joinery, you're going to keep using glue and screw method and or a combination of doweling. The next natural step that a lot of people do, especially the beginner woodworkers and they've never stepped into a wood shop before, is they will go with the pocket joinery system. If you've never walked into a wood shop before and you're just starting out, it's not a bad way to start. I would encourage you to start to do some loose tenon joinery as well once you get comfortable with the router And if you're really finding that you're getting into it and your time is more valuable, that's when you want to start looking at joinery machines like the domino joiner. It all depends on your budget, it depends on your experience level, and it depends on the end result that you're trying to get with your project. I want to take this opportunity to thank my patrons and all the people who have donated through my donation page. Your donations are what help me continue to make and edit these videos. If you want to donate to this channel, head on over to my donation page right over here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a couple more videos on this side you can watch. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.